everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Penguin Nonsense. I am your host, Edith. We are outside risking getting bitten by mosquitoes because we don't have mosquito spray. So welcome back. It's another Monday. I hope that from wherever you are listening from, you are enjoying another great start of the week. I hope it goes well. Whether you're driving somewhere, you're at the gym, you're at home, just relaxing, wherever it may be. Thanks for being here with us. So let's get on with our first story of today. Our first story comes from Louisiana. I don't know, I'm sure some of y'all have heard about this, but New Orleans has declared a state of emergency over saltwater intrusions in drinking water. The story goes, the New Orleans mayor, Latoya Cantrell, signed an emergency declaration for the city on Friday amid concerns about salt water from the Gulf of Mexico that has been creeping up the drought-hit Mississippi River in Louisiana. The declaration came amid concerns the salt water, which is impacting the rivers because it is such low levels, could impact the drinking water of thousands of residents in the next few weeks. The Louisiana Governor, John Bel Edwards, said that the state would be requesting an emergency declaration from the federal government in the next couple of days as well to get federal funds. It says, for those who rely on the Mississippi River for drinking water, the saltwater intrusion is a potential health risk. High concentrations of salt in the drinking water may cause people to develop increased blood pressure and corrode drinking water infrastructure. The saltwater has already entered the drinking water of communities south of New Orleans, from Empire Bridge to Venice, Louisiana, making the water undrinkable for about 2,000 residents and causing water outages at local schools. As the saltwater moves upriver, it could affect the drinking water for another 20,000 people in Belchase. After that, it could reach the drinking water intake for the New Orleans community of Algiers, across the river of the French Quarter. So essentially, this salt water has just been pushing in from the oceans over to the Mississippi River, and it's because they've been having this drought, like this really bad drought that's been going down over there. And sadly, as this has been going on, this water keeps pushing in from the river, and so it's creating for a lot of these people problems because they now don't have the drinking water because they rely a lot on this river to provide their drinking water and that kind of stuff. So sadly, this just keeps going worse for them. And I think they're not I want to say it was like in the article, it says up into like mid-October, October 13th, past that, they will be getting even worse and worse if they don't get any rain. And so I know they're trying to get some gallons over through air and stuff like that of water for these people, but at the same time, who knows how much drinkable water they can get. And this is scary because a lot of our rivers, a lot of this kind of stuff is drying up as more and more as we continue on, and it's kind of scary to think that at some point we might not have any drinkable water. So I hope that all of my geniuses out there, I feel like we need to start finding a way to start making our salt water drinkable because it is starting to look quite scary. So our prayers go out to Louisiana. I hope that they start to get the rain that they need, and I hope that everything starts working out for them. On to our second story of today. So our second story comes from Am I the A-Hole forum. It was uploaded 6 hours ago, so it's pretty new. And it says, am I the a-hole for laughing when my son came home from meeting his girlfriend's parents because he chose to behave like he does at home? My son burps a lot while eating. I have tried telling him multiple times that it's rude. I've told him to slow down so he doesn't swallow air with his food. I told him that it is disgusting. My wife will instantly jump to defend him. She will say that that's just the way he is and that it's not his fault. The thing is, he can't control himself when I remind him. He chooses not to. He just went on a date with his girlfriend last night and she tore him a new a-hole. It was his first time meeting her parents since they lived in another city. They went out on a fancy restaurant and he burped all the way through supper. He came home almost in tears from her chewing him out for behaving like a jackass in front of her family. I heard him telling my wife about it and I laughed. She asked what was so funny, and I reminded them both that I tried dozens and hundreds of times to teach him table manners and he rejected them and she protected him. I said that now he is a grown man and he had to learn the hard way. They both think she overreacted and that I'm the a-hole for being amused by his experience. And this one, I just thought it was funny. When I read this one, I was like, that's just hilarious to me. And so I think he is definitely not the a-hole for laughing and for thinking this is a funny experience. And I don't think that his girlfriend overreacted. Call me like, I don't know, whatever you want to. But I think everybody should have table manners outside of their house. Okay, I get it. If at home you want to be lazy, you want to be crusty, you want to be whatever, now whatever you want to do, I don't care. Outside of the house, you're on another level. Like, you need to behave a certain way. And like, I feel like this kid, if he wants to be like he wants to be at home, fine. But his meeting his girlfriend's parents, like, at least set a good image of yourself. Nobody wants a guy who's burping all the time or like picking his nose or maybe grabbing down there, who knows, because I know some guys have a tendency to just like stick their hand down there, like, or whatnot. And like, don't do that. Don't do that when you're trying to make an impression. Impressions go a long way. And I know people say don't judge a book by its cover. Yes, don't judge a book by its cover, but also, like, if you're trying to impress somebody or want somebody to have a good image of you, you have to give them something to have a good image of you, you know? So unless this guy was just like really smart and everything, he was just perfect everywhere else but this, then I don't see anybody else buying into it. Like, it's just gross, honestly. Like, I get it, sometimes it happens by accident. Sometimes you really just can't help it. And you'll say, excuse me, or whatever. But if you just do it because you want to do it and you're not going to control it, then that's on you. And I think that was seriously so disrespectful to his girlfriend, to her family. And I hope that either she thinks about this relationship a little bit more and that he changes for her. And if he thinks that that is something that she's being over dramatic over this, then I think that they should probably just call it quits at this point, because obviously she takes manners seriously and he doesn't. That's just my opinion. Like, I would just be like, okay, this is it, we're done. Like, don't get me wrong, I would take it if it's at home. I'll say, we all do it. And maybe if you did it outside, like I already explained, I think it's fine if you did it by accident, but I just feel like he was just rude. That was just rude. And like, at first when I read the story, I was like, oh, he's probably a teenage boy who just went, you know. But after I saw that the parents live outside of the city, I feel like, okay, maybe she's already living on her own, so they're probably older. So the dad did comment how old the boy is. The boy, who is a man now, I guess, is 22. How do you go 22 years of life and not have any table manners? Like, I don't get it. I know, like, at least when I first started dating Jose, I was not into the big of going, like, out to, like, fancy restaurants or stuff like that. So I can't say that my table manners were, like, really great, but they were decent enough to be, like, I know not to put, like, my elbows on the table or that kind of stuff, or, like, be talking with my mouth open or anything like that. Like, you know, certain just small things. Like, I'm not saying that my table manners are to the perfection that they should be. No, absolutely not. there's plenty of things that I probably should still learn. But at the same time, like, I have enough in my brain and because of how I was taught by my parents and how I was taught also in school when I was in ROTC, we had a table etiquette class. So like, I was thankfully brought up in a way where they taught me these things, but his dad tried to teach him, and the mom, I'm actually honestly amazed that the mom let this happen more than the dad. Usually it's the other way around. Most of the time the dad is like, he's just a boy being a boy, leave him alone. But this time it was the mom. So that honestly was a little shocking for me, because I feel like the mom should have been like, well, you know, girls are going to think you're gross for doing that, so maybe you shouldn't do it. But maybe it's her only son, or maybe it's her, like, baby boy. And so she's just really overprotective of him. So I don't know, maybe that's the reason why she defended him so much. There has to be something going on there, like either some really close attachment to the boy or something, or maybe it's her first boy or whatnot. But definitely I'm actually quite surprised on that. Let me know what you guys think, whether you think the dad was the a-hole for laughing at the situation or if it wasn't, and if you think that this boy should have known table manners by this age now. And even if he doesn't, I feel like the dad shouldn't have to lie that he should have known. So I feel like it's just common sense. You don't want people burping around like while you're eating. I don't know. Too gross for me. But anyways, let me know what you guys think. Drop it in the comments. And on to our last story of today. That was very extra, wasn't it? Today we have our feel-good story to end, like always. And this one was absolutely cute because I feel like the internet is just always pulling through for people, and it is my favorite part of the internet when they pull through for just people who are in need. And this one was a Starbucks worker. Starbucks workers raised over $40,000 for a beloved barista after her car was burglarized. Karen Collinsworth, 65, has been living near the Marshall University campus in Huntington, West Virginia for decades, and for much of that time she's been working at Starbucks, supervising a youthful staff while serving students and faculty. She says, "I've been here since 1976. I fell in love with Huntington. I am from outside of Columbus, Ohio," Collinsworth tells Today.com over the phone during a short break in her shift. She says, "I've been in the food industry since 1978, and that is my passion. I've loved waiting tables. I just do. Your customer server develops, and you just want to please people." She says, the article is actually very long, so I cut out a lot of things. But later more, she talks about how she's just really enjoyed, and her coworkers really enjoy her too. And like, for a lot of these kids, she's like their mom, like their work mom. And we all, at least in my scenario, I know what it's like to have a work mom. My work moms are the best. And so I think it's just really great when you find that one person who's like way older than you, who just generally takes care of you and is always caring for you, like if they were your real mom. And so according to a lot of her coworkers, which, you know, they're in the university, a lot of them are young college kids. So a lot of them were going through the interview stating how much of a good person she was, how nice she was to them. Like, they always felt free to go talk to her if they needed to, whether it was work related or home related or college related, that they felt okay enough to go and speak to her. So that speaks volumes to the fact that she got the love of these kids. So it just speaks how genuine of a good person she was. One of the kids said, "One day she came into work and she was like, 'Yeah, somebody stole my Cadillac converter last night. My car just isn't doing well,' Horn says. adding that in addition to the catalytic converter, Collinsworth's car was broken into again days later and had items stolen from its interior. She says, at that point, we all said, well, she cannot be driving this car anymore. It's barely running. So according to them, a lot more on the article, this car that she drove was like really old and it had just had its years. It's had its good times, its bad times, and it was more of like it's making it from point A to point B type of thing. And so now that she had kept having car problems, and the kids were noticing this, and they just kept escalating one thing after another until this Cadillac converter was stolen. And then later, more stuff from her car was stolen. So it was just tragic for her, and it just felt like it just kept getting worse and worse. So then Grace says on a Saturday in late August, she and a few other baristas, including Jaden, were working. She saw a post anonymously on social media app called Yik Yak, wishing that they could donate some money to Collinsworth to help her out. She says, we all just kind of talked about it and we floated around the idea of starting a fundraiser for her. Grace said, after work, when I got back to my dorm, I decided to just make it because I figured even if I couldn't raise that much money, any amount would help her. It was just kind of like a spur of the moment thing. And so the GoFundMe started, called We Love You, Karen, to help her buy a working car and ensure that she wouldn't have to worry about monthly bills, according to the page authored by Anonymous Baristas. To date, the fundraiser has raised over $40,000 for Collinsworth. The original goal was only $10,000, and Horn says her co-workers all share the fundraiser on Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, and Yik Yak, and the goal was met within the first 24 hours. And that's as far as I screenshot to read to you guys on this thing. But it goes on to say how people went from like $5 to the president of the university donating, I think, $5,000. And so that was just so amazing how these kids and it just goes to show you sometimes what you do for others just comes back around eventually, because the whole fact that she was always this genuine, kind person got her, these kids, to love her enough to be like, we need to do something for her. And the fact that this person who started the fundraiser was like, even if we just get her, maybe, you know what, maybe she was thinking maybe they only get like $100, or maybe at the most 2 or 3, maybe even 5. She was like, that would be better than her not having what she doesn't have now, you know. And the fact that it went from this small dream to 40,000 later, it's just amazing to me. I read more in the article later that she now, instead, at first her first goal was just to kind of fix up her old car, and now her goal is just to go buy a new car. And I think she's looking at a Subaru from what the post has said. Who knows if she will get the Subaru or not. But I think it's just great. It's just great how things just worked out for her, and there's still good people out there, because all of these people out in the campus, they probably either knew her or didn't know her, and maybe they were just like, she also stated this herself, she's like, a lot of these college students sometimes barely have $5 to their name to buy a cup of coffee. Nevertheless, given that last $5 that they probably had to help her out was just amazing, you know. So thank you for there still being people out there who are nice enough to help others. And I hope that still keeps happening. And I think that's the amazing part of the internet, is that thankfully we can do a lot of these fundraisers, whether we know somebody or not, and help, because it doesn't take me to know you. Sometimes I'll see fundraisers or on Facebook or something that says so and so family is needing money for a funeral or whatnot, and I don't know the family. I don't even know where they're from, what happened to them or what, but I know I saw a friend share it or whatnot. sometimes, like, if I have the money, I'll donate some good money. But if I don't, sometimes I'll just be like $5-20. Like, it helps. It helps that person, and you never know. One day it might just come back around to you, and hopefully you never have to be that person who needs the help. But if you ever do, hopefully it comes back around to you. So that's my advice for this week, you guys. Keep being good people out there. If somebody needs the help and you have the gift to be able to help, do it. Keep sharing the love. And that is it for you guys this week. I will see you again Monday. Take care. Bye.